Good afternoon, everybody. Before we begin, I just want to ask maybe Lowell, how we got everybody pinned against the back wall. I think people can come forward a little bit and not be in the shot. So just start coming forward, and then Lowell, standing behind the camera, will tell you when it's okay, but it'll make it a little bit seem like everybody's not afraid of the speakers here. We got some very good folks there. Are we still all good there? Okay, thank you. Okay, I want to welcome everybody here that's live, and of course the great, incredible Alaskan congressional delegation, and thank everybody for the incredible work that's gone on to get us to the point we are today. We're so fortunate to be joined by so many people from across the great state of Alaska. We have to think of this as like not a TV broadcast, but like a giant Zoom call, because we've got friends and leaders from everywhere from the North Slope down to King Cove that are listening in today. And we've got some exciting announcements and some exciting signings that we're going to do today. And so again, and then in the for those that are online, you can't see the small group that we have. We're actually in the Secretary's office here at the Department of Interior. Some of you that are listening, I know, have been here. We appreciate the visits that people have made to visit us. Invite everybody to come on down to Interior if you're ever in D.C. We, of course, have a smaller group here because the government is still shut down. Thankfully, all of those that are standing behind me in Congress are voting to keep the government open. And I do want to give a special shout out to all the Interior team members that have continued to work on these important projects for Alaska without getting paid and coming in and being massively short-staffed. At Interior, we have tens of thousands of people sitting at home that I'm sure would like to be working on important stuff if we could get a vote to get the government back open. But here we are today for Alaska Day here at the Department of Interior. We're honored to welcome Governor Mike Dunleavy and, of course, the two great senators, Senator Sullivan, Senator Murkowski, and Congressman Begich, who's here. These are four tireless champions for the state of Alaska. I've so enjoyed having an opportunity to work with them. Of course, I knew Mike from our time together as Republican governors of natural resource states, but it's a privilege to have everybody here as we celebrate this new era of opportunity and achievement for the state. I think anybody that's been to Alaska, anyone that's an Alaska native, anyone that lives in Alaska, works in Alaska, knows that Alaska is like no other. It's like no other place in the world, really, but it certainly is like no other place in the United States. It's such a gift to us in terms of its incredible resource potential, the land, the water, the minerals, but especially the people that are there. And it's vast, rugged, beautiful in ways that it's hard to even describe for folks that haven't been there. But even more so now, it's strategically vital to us in its position relative to all of our allies across the North Pacific, and certainly the Arctic from a national standpoint. It plays such a strategic role. But whether it's fisheries, it's forests, national defense, everything is so critically important, and it really reflects on the strength, the abundance, and that independent spirit that really is America. So this is maybe a long way of saying more simply, which is what President Trump said in a post the other day, which is we love Alaska, and we do. And even more than loving Alaska, we actually love Alaskans, and why the series of things we're signing today are really driven about the care for the people that actually live in Alaska. The people that work there, that have to raise families there, that care about it. And one thing I learned as a governor is that nobody cares more about the land, the water, the soil, the forest, the wildlife than the people that actually live there. And so one of the ways that we're being pro-Alaska is we're being pro-Alaskans and supporting and listening to the people that live there. Because for too long, many politicians and policymakers in D.C., treated Alaska like it was some kind of zoo or reserve. And that somehow by not empowering the people or having even the slightest ability to tap into the vast resources was somehow good for the country or good for Alaska. And that meant locked up lands, it meant canceled leases, it meant crippled development, it meant all kinds of businesses whose capital went to other places in the world as opposed to here. They put ideology ahead of people. But that changed on day one. President Trump, with his amazing executive order, literally entitled Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential, restored the balance in how we thought about that. It reaffirmed state sovereignty. We're trying to get the power back to the state. Alaska is a state. It's entitled to all the rights and responsibilities that the other 49 states have, and it sent a clear message that Alaska's future should be decided by Alaskans, not by lobbyists in Washington, D.C. So today's announcements reflect that vision that President Trump set on day one in action, and it represents that the federal government is working in hand with Alaska's leaders to create real progress for real people, real jobs, and real communities. And this is what it looks like when an administration keeps its promises, cuts through the bureaucracy, moves with speed, and helps unleash this incredible potential. We're going to be doing a number of signings today. The first one is a moment that it's emotional for me to think about how long this is overdue, but this is for recognition for some of Alaska's heroes. The Vietnam War era was a time in our country where there was a great debate and discussion about the role of the military. But those that served were called to serve, and they served often quietly and humbly, and they were doing that for our nation. And for the rest of their lives, many of them were fighting for the respect that they so well deserved. And as Mike knows, as a governor, you get an opportunity to do a lot of work with veterans. And as a governor of North Dakota during that time, as our Vietnam veterans age, it's more important than ever that we fulfill the promises that were made to them. Alaska, unlike any other state, made a special promise. And that promise was that leading into the Lands Act, that Alaskan natives had an opportunity to declare to be able to get 160 acres of land as part of the Alaska Native Land Settlement. But there was a subset of Alaskan natives that weren't there during that timeline when they could sign up for their allotments because they were serving in Vietnam. They literally weren't physically in their home state. This went unresolved until the John D. Dingell Jr. Conservation Management Restoration Act was signed into law on March 12, 2019. This injustice for those few veterans it was corrected thanks to the leadership of Senator Dan Sullivan. Thank you, sir. And it made it possible for those veterans that were serving in Vietnam during that time frame to yet today, all of these decades and decades later, still sign and get their 160-acre allotment. That law was passed in 2019. As I said, that was 2,417 years ago. Some of these during the past administration were ignored, not processed, not followed through. But today, we get to recognize 3 more of those veterans by signing their allotments for their 160 acres. And as we know it is with Native communities across the country, Alaska Natives served at some of the highest rates of any groups in our country. Their courage and patriotism remind us of America's greatness is built by those willing to serve, even if it's often quietly, but certainly faithfully. So we'll be signing those 3 those today. For press that might be wondering, as a matter of privacy, the names of those individuals will not be released, but rest assured that they served faithfully and with honor, and it's, again, thanks to this delegation and Senator Sullivan's leadership did that. The next thing we're going to be signing and talking about is related to the Ambler Road. This made a lot of news on October 6th. President Trump exercising executive power that had existed since 1980 but had never been exercised by a president. He was the appeals board. This was created in law in 1980. I have to say the President Trump was quite delighted to find out that there was not an appeal above him. He is the top appeal on this particular thing, and that his signature was going to be the final arbiter, and that was fantastic. So he was delighted to sign that, and historic, first ever used, ordering the reissuance of these right-of-way permits. The agencies delivered in almost half the time designated by the president, proving that when Washington is led by clear direction, it can move fast and get things done. But Ambler Road will help secure domestic supply chains. It's going to provide eventually thousands of great paying jobs, and it's going to strengthen our energy independence. As chair of the National Energy Dominance Council, I can tell you that we're making great progress on a number of different things in our country, and we think of 3 buckets. One, we think of oil and gas, more to do, but we're making great progress. Electricity, we've got a lot of work to do. We need to produce more electricity if we're going to win the arms race. But the place where we're most vulnerable has to do with critical minerals. In the Ambler Mining District represents some of the richest deposits in the entire world, and these have been locked up. There's over 1,700 claims in the Ambler Mining District that were unreachable, and these were claims made by people that had to travel literally into the wilderness to try to find and prospect for those locations. But now with road access, this 211-mile-long gravel road that'll be a toll road, it'll be a limited access road. It'll have take care of the subsistence concerns and partnerships that we have with Doyen and Nana. I mean, we'll take care of all of that, but this is just a great thing for our country, great for national security, and great for Alaska. And that's been a long time coming on Ambler Road, and again, great that that's absolutely positively going to happen. On the Eisenbeck at King Cove, this one, I've read the testimony from the local consultation was up there. One that really moved me was an individual that indicated that he'd been working on trying to get this road built since he was in grade school, that he was, as a grade school student, writing letters of support. Other people have said that their grandfathers worked on this as tribal leaders, then their fathers, and now them, 3 generations of trying to get this road completed. And we're at a point today to announce that this week we've achieved things that have never been achieved in those 40 years, which is we have solved for this issue. Residents of King Cove, as many people that know this, have faced life-threatening challenges in this beautiful place where they live. Trying to reach the medical care and the runway in Cold Bay. When you've got a combination of fog, limited visibility, high winds, a 3,500-foot gravel runway makes it very treacherous. I think everybody knows the statistics. I think it's estimated that 26 people have died in plane crashes that have been trying to be medically evacuated out of here. But just next door, there's a 10,000-foot all-weather runway left over from World War II, and it just seems preposterous to me that somehow it's taken 40 years for us to put people first. Because I know one thing as a governor of a state, that you can actually do things like build 18 miles of gravel road and still take great care of wildlife. You know, when you take less than 500 acres out of a 310,000 acre wildlife refuge, and with the actions we're taking on the land exchange, the wildlife refuge is actually expanding in size. It's not shrinking, it's expanding in size, that we can do both of these things. America has always been able, great things come through innovation, not through regulation. And we're going to be able to protect wildlife, and we're going to be able to save the lives of the people that live there. And so for the folks that are there that are listening in, Mayor Warren Wilson, Dean Gould from the KCC, and CEO Shante Kuchoktin, who's actually signed the documents this week. Shante, thank you for that. Other tribal leaders that are there. And this signing, I think, occurred yesterday, maybe at 11:30 a.m., so mark that point in history. So moving forward with this is absolutely fantastic, but I know that this community has fought hard for decades for this. It's exciting to see us reach this milestone and keep moving ahead. I look forward to getting to join everybody in King Cove. Those that may know my background, everyone keeps talking about King Cove, small community, about 800 people that live there. That's more than twice the size of the town that I grew up in, so I'm looking forward to coming to the big city to see that. Anyway, the last one that we've got, I mean, we just jam-packed here on Alaska Day, the Anwar Coastal Plain Record of Decision. This is, again, goes back decades and decades, but when this was created, this is not a new thing, because people, are thinking, what? We're going to be actually, developing resources safely, smartly, securely, respecting wildlife, the water, and the environment. How can we do that in an area, that's called a wildlife refuge? How can you do those two things? Well, when this wildlife refuge was created, there was 1.5 million acres that were designated over 40 years ago that said this is an area of high priority that needs to be examined for mineral resources. This is not an idea we came up with yesterday. We're trying to execute on the law that has been around for decades and decades. And so with that, the decision about the coastal plain, the new record of decision reverses the previous administration's literally unlawful restrictions, restores Congress's original intent. This land should and will be supporting responsible oil and gas leasing. And you know who had oil and gas leases that got canceled? The state of Alaska. ADA, the Alaska Industrial Development Export Authority, also known as ADA, had leases. The Biden administration canceled them. Our action today is going to restore those, Governor, and hopefully now with confidence that the private sector may also join Alaska in developing that. So again, I want to thank the congressional delegation behind me. They all voted for the one big beautiful bill. And of course, we know that having been to the North Slope earlier this year, I want to give a shout out to Mayor Josiah. And he has been here in this office twice. I got a piece of art on the wall that reminds me of his grandfather, his father, and himself when he was 16 years old on his first whale hunting trip. And again, over in Katochik, we got President Charles Lampe, he's worked on this a long time, but I want to, at KIC, but thank you for everybody in Alaska up there on the North Slope who's been working to try to improve the lives and opportunities for the people that live there. So again, taken together, all of these represent a clear and unified message, which Alaska is open for business. We're honoring veterans, we're empowering communities, we're unlocking critical resources, and we're restoring the principle, the very principle that comes. This is the United States of America. Alaska is a state, and Alaska's destiny belongs to it and its people, not to distant regulators in Washington, D.C. So again, thank you, Governor Dunleavy, Senator Sullivan, Senator Murkowski, Congressman Begich, for your partnership, for your leadership. Each of them here, rest assured Alaskans, each of these four fighters for Alaska has played a vital role in moving these projects forward. And to everybody from Alaska that's tuning in, watching online today, we thank you for your unwavering belief in your incredible state. President Trump's vision was simple and profound. Alaska's extraordinary resource should be unleashed, not locked away, knowing that in America we can do things smarter, safer, and more environmentally responsible than anywhere in the world. So when we shut down our own timber production, our own mineral production, our own oil and gas production, we don't lower demand, we just shift it to other countries that do it less cleanly. So people that care about the environment should want it all to happen in America. And with that, we know that Alaska's best days are ahead. When we talk about a golden age of prosperity, it's certainly Alaska is positioned as strongly as any state in our country and better than any day in its history. And we're ensuring that the America's last frontier remains a land of opportunity, strength, pride, environmental stewardship, and conservation for generations to come. So with that, we're going to hear from each of the CODEL. Then we're going to go through some fund signings. And so with that, I'm going to kick it over. We've got senators that are in the middle of voting. They're voting to try to get the government open. We don't want to get in the way of them doing that. But Senator Sullivan, great to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. Wow. Well, I want to begin. This is just such a great Alaska day. It's great to be here with my colleagues, the governor, our delegation. But I really, really, really want to do a special shout out to the Secretary of Interior. He's been in office 9 months, sir, and I can easily say he's been the best Secretary of Interior for Alaska in American history. So how about a round of applause for him? I don't even think it's a close call. He mentioned meeting with Josiah twice. I think he's met with more Alaskans in 9 months than the last Secretary of Interior met with Alaskans in 4 years. Again, this is about respect for our people. And I also want to do a shout out to the president. We had a lunch with him the other day, just Tuesday. I never take up an opportunity to go pitch things to President Trump about Alaska. And the last 2 times, there was a dinner about a month ago, a lunch just 2 days ago. And every time I go, he says the same thing. Dan, I love Alaska, and I want to do everything I can to help your great state. That's the President of the United States, and that is also incredible. So how about a round of applause for his focus? So look, and you can't have more of a contrast, right? Some of you have seen this. I used to carry it around a lot with me, the Last Frontier lockup. This is the 70 executive orders and actions that the Biden administration took singularly and exclusively focused to shut down Alaska. 7-0. Now, normally what I like to do is rip this up and then throw it in the air, but Mr. Secretary, Your office here is so beautiful. I'm just going to leave it right here. I won't throw it. I'm not going to litter this beautiful office. But here's the thing. What is happening? The governor and I were talking about this. You know what we're doing? With the Congress, with the Secretary of Interior, with the President, we are slowly but surely, actually not slowly, rapidly but surely ticking off every one of the Biden shutdowns in reversing it. Of course, it started with this great executive order, day one, from President Trump, unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential. The Secretary already talked about it. We're the only state in the union that has our own EO, and we got it on day one. That's really, really powerful, but it's not just the executive order. It's the one big, beautiful bill that we all voted for that has so many pro-Alaska elements to it. Our state did better on that bill. I like to call it the Alaska Opportunity Act because there's so much good stuff in there for Alaska. We're doing congressional review acts, rescinding Biden shutdowns of our state. And of course, today, what the Secretary's doing, King Cove, our heroic Vietnam veterans. I spoke about them just a couple days ago in my AFN remarks. ANWR, all these things that Alaskans, by the way, bipartisan group of Alaskans want to get done. And the Secretary of Interior is doing it, and we are ticking off every one of these lockups from Joe Biden, and we're going to get rid of all of them. And today is another important day. Let me finish with one final point that I think is a really important one. This is great for our economy. This is great for working families. This is great for jobs. Okay, this is great for America, to have Alaska open again for our country. But one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, this is also, these decisions save lives. They increase life expectancy. The Secretary talked about King Cove. The last administration, the Biden administration, put the lives of birds over the lives of people. That ends today, right? That ends today. 50 years we've been trying to get that road built. But here's something else. I like to show this chart. It shows the life expectancy change of Americans across the country from 1980 to 2014. The state that had the biggest life expectancy changes in America by far was our state, in the areas where Alaska Native people live. ANWR, or the Northwest Arctic Borough, the North Slope Borough, the Aleutian Island chain. Why? Why did that happen? Because we started responsible resource development in our state. People got jobs, people got gymnasiums, people got clinics, people got running water and flush toilets. And the life expectancy of Alaska Natives in that period increased by 13 years. I always ask my Democrat colleagues who want to shut down our state, give me a policy indicator of success more important than the people you are representing are living longer. There isn't one. They can't answer that question. So what we're doing today is not just growing our economy, creating jobs. We are helping people live longer and saving lives. And that might be the most important legacy of Secretary Burgum and President Trump than anything else. So thank you again, Mr. Secretary. It's a real honor to be here.
Well, today is an historic day. It's Alaska Day at the Interior. And so many of the priorities that we have been fighting for decades are being realized today, but they have been decades in the making. The tireless work of our delegation over many years, tireless work of Alaskans. Some will never be known, but have worked on these issues for years and years. In order for us to be self-determinant, in order for us to chart our own future as a state. That was the promise made to Alaska at statehood, that we would be full-fledged citizens of this nation, able to determine our own future and able to utilize the tremendous blessing of resources that Alaska has to offer. Not just Alaskans, but the entire nation. Under Joe Biden, it was death by 1,000 cuts for Alaska. Under President Trump, it's life by 1,000 successes. And we're here today to celebrate a number of those successes. This is the beginning, not the end. This is the beginning of opening up our state for responsible development. We've heard the President talk about how important critical minerals are, and we have seen that with China restricting access to critical resources that we need for economic security, for national defense purposes. Alaska has those resources, and we have them in abundance. The only thing that's been missing is the political will to unlock those resources for the benefit of the people of this nation. And we are doing that today. We are continuing that work today. We are delivering on the promises made by the President and by those before you over many years. We are seeing that realized because we have alignment in the House, the Senate, and the presidency. This is what it means, Alaska. The Alaskans who voted for change, who voted to unlock the resources of our state, this is delivery for you. And we are proud to be here. We are proud to be a part of this. And I want to thank the Secretary for his leadership. You've done a tremendous job, Mr. Secretary. You are a great friend to Alaska. And I couldn't be happier to stand here before you to be a part of this Alaska Day at Interior, which I hope is the first of many Alaska Days to come. But for the people of Alaska, for those watching at home, we are working hard, shut down or not. We are here to do the work that you sent us to Washington to do, and we will continue to do that work. Thank you very much. May God bless the great state of Alaska, and may God bless this nation.
Mr. Secretary, thank you. Thank you for your commitment to Alaska. And as Senator Sullivan has shared, please share directly to the President our thanks for his commitment to Alaska. This is a recognition of promises made and promises delivered. This is a recognition of actually, how about, let's follow the laws that we passed. So when we passed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2017, that finally opened up the opportunities for us in ANWR, it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear. So what we're doing today is basically going back to the law that we passed and asking that that be respected. With regards to the Ambler Road, we're actually going back to the law that was passed in 1980, ANILCA. There's some in the room here that are nodding their head, Drew Pierce, that remember this and the significance of that, that this was the commitment, this was the exchange, if you will, for areas that we put in an area of conservation status in recognition that we would need things like transportation corridors, that we would need areas for exploration and development. So today, Mr. Secretary, with what we are seeing signed, we are honoring the law that was put in place some 40 years ago. To be able to finally bring to some resolution the commitment that was made to Vietnam veterans decades ago, that they would receive their allotments when they were serving their country. That was a promise that was made that has been decades in coming. And those honored and treasured veterans are not getting any younger. And so they see this slipping away, and finally, for a few of them, they're seeing that reality come to bear. And then for the people in King Cove, this is about a promise that has been made that you as American citizens, that your safety and security needs will be met. There's some of us that have a little bit of history on several of these issues, and certainly when it comes to King Cove, I was here in 2019 when we had a really great ceremony with the Secretary of Interior at the time, and we had many of the people from King Cove in this room. Now I hope many of you are still watching online. but I have had the opportunity to work through 6 different Interior Secretaries over this issue. Between my tenure in the Senate and that of my father's, there has been a Murkowski that has been engaged in trying to deliver safety to the people of King Cove for almost 45 years. And I will tell you, Mr. Secretary, this is one area where President Trump has embraced it. He embraced it in his first administration. He said, we're gonna make this happen. He actually gave Secretary Zinke just 2 months to finish it. But he's happy to come back again and try to, not only try, but to make certain that the people there in King Cove will see their safety, their security acknowledged and recognized. So when there are setbacks, as we have seen with subsequent administrations that have turned on their head the good work that this delegation, President Trump and others have done before him, we see that reversed. We don't give up. We don't give up. One of the great honors that the people of King Cove gave me was an Aleut name, and I'm sorry, but I can't pronounce it. But it means never breaks in two. And they didn't break in two on this commitment. The administration did not break in two, and we will not break in two, because the people of Alaska deserve only the best, only the best. And today they are seeing that reflected with these decisions from the administration, and I'm deeply grateful to all those engaged. And I've got to give a shout out to Lucy and Brian, who have been in this fight for almost 20 years themselves, and they deserve that recognition too. To all of our staffs. Mr. Secretary, thank you.
I got to move the mic up, or try to. I want to, there's a whole bunch of people to thank here. This is really a momentous day from my perspective as governor of the great state of Alaska. I remember when President Trump was first elected, and he focused on Alaska. And quite frankly, a lot of people couldn't understand why. They would say to me, Dunleavy, you only have 740,000 people. You're at the top of the world. You get 3 electoral votes. And I would admit at the time it was hard to explain why the President of the United States, Donald Trump, would focus on Alaska. But for me, it's become clear. He cares, seriously, he cares about each and every American, no matter where they're at. King Cove Road, for example, it's a perfect example. I've had people come up to me and say, what is this King Cove Road thing all about? And I'd say, what do you mean? It's all the President wants to talk about is King Cove Road. Now, we know the President talks about many, many things. But for the people in King Cove, this day is really a culmination, as was mentioned by some great speakers back here, of a long, long jog to rectify a situation where they can make their community safer. In Alaska, unfortunately, we all know people have died in plane crashes or other tragedies as a result of our geography and weather in Alaska. But this gives these people an opportunity. This gives these people an opportunity to believe in their government again, especially their president. I would echo also, I think one of the greatest moves the president did was to put my friend and former governor, Doug Burgum, in as Secretary of the Interior. I'm sincere when I say that, Doug. You, the president, many of the other secretaries, your staff here, you've restored hope in government. You've restored hope in what could really happen, not just in Alaska, but across this country. And President Trump, he's amazing. And if you're watching this, President Trump, you are amazing. You're a force like no other, I think, in the history of this country. And 1 minute you're in the Middle East, 1 minute you're back in Washington, 1 minute you're going to be probably going overseas here, in a short period of time. You're everywhere. And I don't know if you ever sleep, because the other night when we had a typhoon, and I texted the president, it was 9 o'clock our time, it was 1 o'clock where he was, and I really just thought he'd see the text in the morning. He starts texting back and forth. This is the kind of president we have. This is the kind of secretaries we have, like Secretary Burgum. This, and I'll end with this because I think it's important. This is one step in the process, as Senator Sullivan has said, because there's been a lot of wrongs that have happened in Alaska, across this country. But this is This is a win for common sense. And this is a win for opportunity, not just for the state of Alaska, but for the country. A lot of this stuff is just simply common sense. Follow the law, the 2017 law that opened up ANWR. Common sense, a road of a few miles to help people in a climate-challenged place so that they can feel safe if they have to get out for medical or other reasons. The Ambler Road, with all of its minerals. ANWR, with all of its gas and oil potential. And the other thing that people need to remember about these issues that are going to be signed into action today, they're all in rural Alaska. They all impact our rural Alaskans. They all impact our native Alaskans, our fellow Alaska natives. And a lot of this is going to provide economic opportunity for people. A lot of this is going to provide needed minerals and oil for America. And a lot of this is going to provide for safety for our fellow Alaskans. And so I get up every morning, and I told the president it's like Christmas every morning. I wake up, I go to look what's under the proverbial Christmas tree to see what's happening. And here's another example of more presents for not just Alaska, but for this country. And so I want to thank the president again for his executive order, for his focus on making this country great again. People may have laughed at the whole MAGA idea, but making this country great again. That's what this is about. It's also making Alaska great again. But I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the staff in this room. I want to thank our fellow Alaskans in rural Alaska that have pushed for these issues. And I'm just excited. You would tend to think this would be the last year in a 4-year term. This is 9 months in. This is 9 months in. It's unbelievable to think what's going to happen in the next 3 years. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm living in the most exciting times in this great country under this president, under this secretary and other secretaries, and with the staff that you have today. So you guys helped make this happen. You really did. It would not happen without you. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the president again. But Secretary, thanks for everything.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Governor. Thank you, Congressman. And thanks to our two senators, both of whom, as I said at the top of the hour, have had to leave to go back to the Capitol to vote. Voting again one more time to try to get the government to reopen. And so appreciate them being here today. Next, we're going to go to the signing phase. And so they're in the room. I think the camera's going to swing more this way. This group may have to move a little bit that unless you want to have the back of your heads in the shot. But we'll do that. And I'm going to invite, we've thanked the staff multiple times. Again, I want to thank the staff not only for the congressional delegation, the governor's office, but also at Department of Interior across many different bureaus and agencies here that were involved in this, but helping to coordinate all that on the Alaskan, Kara Moriarty. She's here, flew down from Alaska to be here today. She's got the stack of documents we're going to sign. I'll invite the two gentlemen behind me to stand behind me at the table. Kara's going to come here to the podium. She's going to be the one who's actually describing each of these as we go through it. And again, I want to say to everybody here, all the leaders we have here, everybody that worked on this, the lawyers, the teams, the DepSec, Kate McGregor, who's over here, and all of our the leadership that's come in across the great team that we have here in Interior. Thanks for everything you're doing, and look forward to even more great days like this ahead. But let's do the fun part of actually signing these.
Mr. Secretary, the first three are for the Alaska Native Vietnam veterans. And there's the last Vietnam veteran.
And fulfilling a promise to our veterans is one of the great honors of anybody that has an opportunity to serve. But thanks for everybody that worked on that.
Mr. Secretary, this document signifies that President Trump's a presidential appeal for Ambler has been fulfilled in the reissuance of 3 right-of-way permits. Mr. Secretary, this acknowledges the King Cove Corporation Land Exchange Agreement and the official patent that was issued to King Cove and the U.S. government receiving the deed to complete the land exchange.
And I would just say, what Kara just said, what we've achieved here has never been achieved before, but with this land exchange, King Cove Corporation actually owns the land to be able to build the King Cove Road. This is the first time we've reached this point, but they are the owners of the corridor. They are then able to proceed with the construction of this 13-mile extension. It's about 18 miles in total, but there's 5 miles of existing. But this is the 45-year plus breakthrough that we've been waiting. And again, a lot of legal work went into this thing on both sides. So again, everybody on the King Cove side, thank you. Thanks to everybody in the community that's provided input for over all these years. And thanks to everybody on our team that worked on this. But great that you got this through in a record time, went through the title office, everything signed, buttoned up, patent signed, transfers done. So this thing is done, and how fun is this to sign this?
And last but not least, Mr. Secretary, you are signing the Anwar Coastal Plain Record of Decision, reopening the entire coastal plain for oil and gas leasing.
And is there another signature in this, or is this?
No, Mr. Secretary, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, well, that concludes our Alaska Day today, but obviously, as I love the challenge from the governor, this is our first, it's not our last Alaska Day. We have a lot more things to accomplish, a lot more things to celebrate going forward, but again, thanks to all involved that made it possible. Thanks for everybody from Alaska that's tuning in today. Again, from all the way up to the North Slope to down to the Aleutians, thank you all. Here's to Alaska's future, and again, thank you to all the elected leaders and their staff and the staff at DOI that made this all possible. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, Kara, can we get this?